Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode. So in this one here, we're going to be setting up the vendor and also a loot table on our NPC or our enemy NPC. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build the nav mesh for this one, because before we had a problem where he was just pretty much standing still, wanted to be able to move around. So I'm going to come along here and I'm just going to click bake because this is the terrain, so it should automatically build off that terrain. As you can see, yeah, we've got space around the trees. No, that's really a huge issue. Looks pretty good to me. So now we can move there, and we also want him to be able to move around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a waypoint. So what I will do is I'm just going to click here. Oh, no, I'm not. I will click somewhere else. Create empty. I didn't actually want to make it of the game. So you can see I should have done it that way. There we go. I'm just going to call this one here waypoint test. Because this is only a small scene, I'm not going to make this the proper scene. I'm just going to add a component here. We're going to look for v waypoint area. Now we get v waypoint something else. We want the area one because that's the way that we set up a full area. So we click here on enter edit mode, and it says start by holding shift and left click on any surface with a collider. So you hold shift and you left click on the terrain, and you'll see it comes up with this little circle bit here, and then we've got a bunch of stats just on this section here. So I'm going to make this a random patrol point because I want my guy to just sort of dynamically wander around a couple of set points. Max visitors, well, there's only going to be one, so we're just going to leave it at one. Time to stay, give him 2 seconds, so he'll get there and he'll go for 2 seconds. Now, I don't want him to walk to that specific spot. I want him to sort of pick something in the general area, so I can actually increase the area radius by doing this. So now pretty much anywhere within this green circle, he'll pick a point and stand in it for 2 seconds before finding another point to go to. But we also have to make another point. So I'm just going to hold shift again and left click, and you can see now I've got a second point. Clicking it to random, giving it the same settings. And I'm going to lift that up there, so it's a bit different. And I'm just going to continue to do that. You can always make it so it's a longer wait time. And I'm just going to put it there. Time to stay 4. And we'll increase the area. I don't really want it to hit the rocks, so I'm actually just going to move that around a little bit. And there you go. So now we've got our waypoint area. I'm just going to click on exit edit mode so that we can get away from that. The hotkeys there is just an info thing. So shift, and you got obviously control left to create a new patrol point to selected waypoint. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. So that's the short version of it. Then we're going to click on our melee character, which is our AI, and we're going to find the waypoint section in the controller, and then we're going to drag our waypoint test over to the waypoint area. So now if we start, he's going to start wandering around self-starting point. We click on that because we want him to start from where he's actually placed in the scene rather than teleporting to one of those locations at the start of the match, or the start of the game, should I say. Change waypoint distance 1.5. Yeah, we can just leave all that. That's all fine as it is. Right, now, so let's get on with setting up the vendor system. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up the player to take the vendor system. So we're going to come down here to the bottom just so we've got everything set up. We're going to add a component, and we need to put on the vendor manager script. So we just type in vendor and we pop up with v vendor manager. We add that one in there. Open that up, and you can see, yep, events, we're just going to leave those blank. That's already set up as it is. And then we're going to add another component called the currency manager, because we're going to need, quest system currency manager. And as you can see here, it's now set to 0. Well, we want to actually fill this one out. So we're going to click on 1 in the size, and then it's going to give us an element, which is element 0. We're going to call this, for my game, I'm actually going to call it shards. Yeah, call it shards. Conversion rates, I'm going to ignore this at the moment because we're not going to have any other currency, and I'm not sure whether this is fully implemented yet. That'll be coming out in a later update where you can have multiple currencies and the way that they share between each other. So you can have silver, 10 pieces of silver equals 1 piece of gold, that sort of thing. But for now I'm just going to go with the one currency, so that's all set up. That's fine. And now we need to add that currency to our item list. So this is our quest list. I'm actually going to get the item list data. Actually, I'll find that from my player. Where have I got item manager? Shooter melee. Oh, here you go. I can just open item list here. And then I'm going to drag that down into this little window here. Bring that up a bit there. So as you can see, we've got all of our items listed here from the shooter melee data. We're going to create a new item. We're going to call this shards. Item description, the currency of Encardia. It is a currency in the item type, because obviously we're going to need that, and the max stack, I want to put it as 500. So you can only ever have one stack of 500 coins at a time. Actually, no, let's just make it 999. Do it the old school way. And I've already gone and made a sprite for this. I'll show you that now. Type in shards. So as you can see, I got these nice little crystal shards that sit here. I just Googled search this one, so it's obviously not going to be one that I'll put in the game properly, because it'll need to be royalty free. You can make your own images. Yeah, that's just what you need to do for that one there. So just want to make sure that that is fine. Yep. Cool, currency to the item list, and now we need to add an attribute to it. So we're going to go to add attribute, we're going to change it from health, and we need to change it to currency index in manager, and we're going to set that to 0. So the reason it's set to 0 is because, like we had in our currency manager, if we come down here, if you remember, this one here was element 0. So this, when you make a new list of elements on these foldouts, the first one, it always starts from 0. So it goes from 0 to 9, and then obviously 10 if you're going to go further than that, but that's, yeah, the count starts at 0. So this is just showing that this here is the 0 element, which happens to be shards in our currency manager. So we've got that, and I can't actually scroll down with that, so I'm going to have to drag that up. And we're going to go, yep, equip ID, we don't have to worry about any of that. It's not a two-handed weapon or anything like that, that's fine. So we're going to click create, and now we've got our shards currency. Cool. Now we need to add the buy price and sell price, as well as the currency index for all of our buyable items. So we are going to look at the item manager, which we're in now. We're going to look at some of the weapons that I created, or some of the items that I've created for this that we're going to use. I'm not going to use the axe or the short katana or any of that sort of stuff right at the moment. So I'm going to open up the health potion, because that's going to be one. And we need to add sell price to vendor. Yep. Need to add buy price from vendor. Add, and then we need to add the currency index in manager. So we need to tell it what money we're using to purchase it with, and that's going to be shards. So sell price, buy price, oops, I haven't actually entered that in yet. Sell price to vendor, so we want to be able to sell it for 5, and we want to be able to buy it for 10. Cool, that's that one done. And now we've got the rusty sword. That was another one that we had. So obviously it's got all these stats on it too, but we're still going to add some more. We need the buy price from, sell price to, and currency index. So obviously this is going to be clicking through. It's going to take a little bit of time. Buy price from vendor. Ooh, need to add that. Sell price, we'll make that one 10, so you can sell it for 10, but the buy price is 20. And the currency is always going to be set to 0, because we've only got the one currency. What else do we need to buy from them? You know what, I don't think we'll need to buy anything else, but I might make this one just in case I'm not doing enough damage with the other sword. Actually, damage 30, I think it is the same as the rusty sword. Let's just have a quick look at that. 30, 20, 5, 7, yeah, okay, so it is the same. So, yeah, I haven't actually got any fanciness with the other setting. So what I'm also going to do now is I'm actually going to take away from my player's inventory. If we come up here, just got to remove everything. Alright, cool. And then what we need to do is we need to actually add an item. So I'm going to add an item, and we're going to call it shards. I'm going to click add, and we're going to start off with, say, 50, because I only really need to buy a sword. So that should be enough to do that. And then next on that, so we've got the currency index, that's all fine. Now we need to also create another item, because we're going to have the bandit that will drop something to show that we've killed him, and something that we can use. So the sort of the junk items that you would get from an MMO, so things that you can't really use for as equipment, but you can sell them to make a bit more money, or you can use them if you have a crafting system. You could also use it with that. So I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it bandit here. Item description, cut from a freshly slain bandit. Max stack, we'll say 10 for each stack. Got a sprite, I don't actually have that, so Yeah, it looks like an ear. That's fine. Now this one here, we need to actually have a loot object on it, I believe. No, we don't. No, that's fine. So we're going to leave that as it is, but we're going to need to set up the same stats. So we need to add in, sell price to vendor. We need to add in buy price from vendor. We need to add in the currency index in manager, but we also need to put in a weighted drop rate. And I'll explain that one in just a second. So we've got, I need to drag this back up again. We didn't actually put in our currency. There we go. So sell price to vendor, I want to be able to sell that for 10 and I want to be able to buy it for 15. I don't really want to be able to buy it, but we need to put it in anyway. Now the weighted drop rate is the next one that we need to look at. So the weighted drop rate is actually a percentage rate for how likely it is to be dropped as loot when it's on a loot table on our enemy. So it's not how many will actually drop when you kill someone. So it's, yeah, you just keep in mind that that's not what this deals with. The loot table will deal with how many to drop, but the weighted drop rate is the item rarity, basically. So it's on a scale from 0 to 100. So 100 means that it will always drop. So if you've got a common item, you want to have it in the high numbers. If you have something that's ultra rare, you might want to set that to a really low number, so it only drops, like, 1 in every 10 or 1 in every 50. Something like that. So we're going to set this one here to 100 because we want it to drop every time we kill a bandit. And I'm actually just going to make this as a floating panel because I'm having trouble with it expanding out. We're going to click create. I'm just going to drag it back down here. So now we've got our bandit here down the bottom there, and it's got a funny looking decal because it's a big decal list, so we'll leave that as it is. That's fine. I can change that at another time. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to actually make our character that can sell things. I'm not actually going to make it as a character. I'm going to do something a little tricky here, but to make the vendor character, we need to go to quests. We need to create an NPC, so we're going to use the NPC creation wizard again. This time we're going to select seller, and we're going to find an FBX model, and I'm going to type in stall, because that's in the scene. Search for the assets, and we're going to have this building stall here. This is not a humanoid, that's perfectly fine. Action, text. Where are we? Action text, yep, that's what we want. Now we're going to leave the quest list blank because it's not dealing with quests, we're dealing with items. So we're going to go to the item list, going to open that up, and we need to find the one that we are using, which is this one here in the Invector third-person controller menu. I believe that's the same item list that we are using. I can confirm that by clicking on here, and yep, that's definitely the same file path. So we're going to click create, and now at our 0 transform, we've got our little stall, and that's made for the vendor. So I'm just going to get my hierarchy back up. Building stall, I'm going to F2 that and call this vendor shop front, and I'm going to again highlight that, and as you can see, this is our thing here. We need to make sure it's the same name, so I'm just going to paste that there, and that's fine. And we're going to move this around here, just position it the way we want. That's fine. Might want to actually move that around, and of course we're going to need to increase the box collider for that one. So that's the collider there, but we need the trigger for that, which is this one. So we're just going to edit this, drag it out a bit. Whoops. Size. We want the X to increase. So there you go. So you can pretty much stand in front of the stall and set that up. Now, if we come back to here, it's got a transform, it's got a box collider, and it doesn't have the problem that we have with this character here, Mr. Helpy, which was the rigid body. So we want it to actually set that to kinematic because I don't want it to actually move at all. I want it to just stand there. So now that we've got our vendor set up, we're going to click on the shop front, going to open the list here. As you can see, it's got everything automatically set up for what it needs to do. including the setting active, the action text, all that stuff takes from that. Obviously we don't need that, so we're going to go to the items filter, consumable, we need to add an item, we're going to add the health potions, we're going to have 5 of those that we can sell, we're going to add none of those things because we want it to be a weapon, so we're going to go to the melee weapon, we're going to have a common sword, going to add that, and we're going to click on the change attributes here. So one thing that's that has come up as a big problem people have been having is actually a Unity 2018 issue. Something in their core coding is having issues whenever you've got an item in these lists that needs to have some details changed. It's not actually updating it, and that's causing people a few issues with the vendor not being able to buy or sell objects. So what you need to do is when you come to this item list, you need to click on the items that you've added in and just click on reset. Just do it a couple of times so that we make sure that it's worked, and then that one there. So you got to do it for each item as well. So click on reset here, and that's fine for that one. And that's all we need to do for that. So position vendor and the select items had to be shot. Yep. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually set up the drop loot on our bandit. So we're going to come to our AI melee. We're going to jump in here. We need to add a script to it, and it's called the loot table. So the v loot table is the script that we need to add there. Lootable item list data, well, that needs to be the same item list that we're using for everything, which is this one here. Again, you can check the file path to make sure it's the same one, because there's obviously a duplicate name with the RPG pack for if you default install everything. So we click on that. Number of items to drop, well, we're just going to set that to 1. Drop object needs to be set, and there's a prefab for this called loot. So obviously not in the scene, in the assets folder. And you can see here, that's the object that comes with it. So when it actually drops an item, it'll just be this sort of default icon here, floating in 3D space. You can obviously change that to whatever item you want. I suggest just looking at the loot prefab and adjusting whatever the 3D mesh is on it. But for now, we're going to leave it as that. Click on that. So we've got that. That's fine. Now the filter, so what do we want it to actually drop? Well, we only want it to drop the bandit ear. The bandit ear was a consumable item. I'm just going to click add item, and we go bandit ear. I'm going to add that. We only want it to drop 1. So this is what I was talking about before with a weighted drop rate. That doesn't control how many drop. It only controls how likely it is to drop. So we've got it to 100%. So whatever amount I put in here will drop when we kill the character, sorry, the NPC. We only want 1 ear. I mean, obviously you come with 2 ears, so I guess, yeah, we'll make it 2 ears. He drops 2 ears. So you get $20 for each bandit that you kill, basically, or 20 shards, should I say. We need to do the same thing on this thing. Pretty much any of these lists here where we're, you know, and giving the player new items or whatever like that, we need to click the reset. We don't have to do it in the player's inventory when we're setting up at the start, but definitely have to hit it when we're setting up the loot table and the vendor item lists. I'm going to click that a few times, so that's fine. Now what we need to do is we need to actually make it so that the bandit will drop the item and run this loot table when he's killed. So we need to come up to here to events, and as you can see here, we've already got the quest target one on the on dead option. So when that event happens, we need to be able to say loot table. Oops, sorry. Click on the loot table script, drag it up to here, and then we need to come down to v loot table, drop lootables. So now it will drop the item on the death command. So that should be all we need to do. Let's try and test that one out. So we'll run through from start to finish. We've obviously got our different bits set up. So we're running through now. As you can see, I don't have any weapons anymore because I took them off my player. Oops, actually, you know, I'm going to use my controller for this. As soon as I can turn it on. There we go. Right, I'm going to check items. So we've got 50 shards, so that's the currency of Encardia. That's fine. And then equipment, obviously we've got no weapons anymore, so I'm going to have to buy some. Oh, excuse me, with that wall of text span there. So, yep, we've found Mr. Helpy. We're going to talk to him. Going to interact, kill the bandit. No worries, mate. I'll do that. But first, I need to buy something. So I'm going to come in here so we can interact with the store. And as you can see now, we've got the health potion and we've got the sword, so we can look at how to buy those. So it's not actually yeah, because there's too many stats on it, it's not popping up with how much it costs. So that'll be something that I'll have to look at with the UI and how to change that. But as you can see here, the sell price is 5, the buy price is 10. You can set that up so it actually says something different and just gives you the number for the stats, so it's not reading out like that. But we'll deal with that at a later stage. Right now, on to buy. I'm going to have to use the mouse because obviously it's not highlighting. That's strange. Why can't I interact with that? Definitely have the money for it, so... That's very interesting. Alright, well let's test out our loot first, so I'll try and punch the bandit to death. Oh, as you can see, yeah, he's moving around to his different waypoints, and he will actually be able to spot me as well now. So if I run in front of him here, if I punch him... No, he doesn't want to get aggro. I might not have set up the proper targeting on him. Come here, bandit man. Don't you run away again. Not this... No, not this nonsense. Come back here. Probably should have just equipped a gun that would have been a bit faster. And turn off his whatever regeneration he's got going. Ah, you're trapped now, have you? Aha! So we got him, and now we can loot. And as you can see, acquired 2 bandit ears in the top right of the screen there, covered up by the object, the HUD, sorry. So we've got items, now we can see, yep. So we've got our 2 items there, but for some reason I am not able to sell to the vendor. So why is that not working properly? Alright. I'm going to troubleshoot this one and I will get back to you as soon as I have a result. So this is good. So we see that obviously there's a problem here. I can figure out why it's not working and then I can work to fix it. So if you come across the same problem, then you know what to do. Okay, so we are back now. I think what's happened is I've actually done a little bit of a boo-boo and made a bit of an oversight. I haven't actually set things up quite the way I should have. So as you can see here, we've got the shards and the currency in there, but there's no extra attributes on there. And I saw that and went, hang on a minute, what have I done there? Now, if I come down to the shards in the inventory list, we open it up, you can see I didn't actually add the currency indexing. I think I clicked on it, but I did that problem where I forget to further click on the special add button to actually add the attribute. I just selected it. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to currency index in manager, click add. So now you can see it's popped up there and the index in manager is 0. So that was a problem that I had there. But now we've also got the other issue of when that comes through, it's not going to work just like that. Now we come here to our player and go to our inventory, and you can see we need to click on the reset value there as well. So let's click it a few times, make sure it's set and ready to go. Now let's give that one a go and see whether that's fixed our problem. Now, there's a 2018 problem listed in his video, but I'm using 2017.4. I'm pretty sure it's the same issue though. No, it looks like we're still not able to buy. Alright, so that hasn't fixed our problem. Oh, no, it has, and then we still can't buy. Have we got an error in our console? No, nothing in the console says we can't do it. Oh, there we go. Alright, so this is a UI issue then, by the looks. So I'm just going to cancel that. As you can see, because it's not actually highlighting, and then I click buy. Just going to cancel that. I'm going to click buy. So it's not letting me purchase that. So why is it not letting me purchase that? Maybe there's something wrong with the thing. If I actually select buy for this. Okay, so we could definitely buy the potions. So for some reason it's not letting me buy the sword, and I'm not sure why that is. So let's just hit escape. Let's just check that my items are coming up. So I've definitely lost money and I've definitely got that. So let's go escape for that. Alright, so that's some progress. So we do know that, yeah, there was an issue with the currency here, and also there's a problem with the UI. But let's just have a look at why it's not letting me do that. So let's go down to the vendor option here. Items filter, melee weapon. I'm just going to put that as 2 so that we can actually select both consumable and melee. And that should be fine. So that should all be perfectly fine. I'm just going to make sure these attributes are... Okay, so common sword doesn't have our extra details on it, so I don't know what's happened there unless I've selected the wrong one and updated the wrong one. Ah, of course, because I've got rusty sword instead of the common sword. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I've actually got the wrong weapon on here. So this has been our problem all along. I've been using the wrong weapon, so I'm going to remove that. Going to go here and we're going to add rusty sword and not common sword. Common sword was the second one that I had on the list. Don't know why I've selected that instead of rusty sword, but let's go and add. And then we need to go to the change attributes, and now we can see we've got the buy price, sell price, currency index, all that. So we're going to click on reset. So there you go. It was a problem. I was looking at the wrong thing. So that's a user error that's coming up with the issue there. All right. So now we should be good to go. Let's, and I've got a problem here with the nav mesh agent. It's something to do with the AI. I haven't looked into that yet, but we could ignore that because it's we know the AI is working fine. So fingers crossed, everything goes the way it should go. Yep, found Mr. Helpy. We're triggering that. There we go. Now I am actually using the gamepad to do this, but I'm pressing down on the gamepad to get to buy, and it just seems a little strange. So that's, yeah, that's something very, very strange. We're going to need to figure out why that's happening. Did that? No, didn't actually purchase it. That's fine. Let's go back again and try it again with the keyboard and mouse. Ugh, this UI is killing me. Where's my mouse going? I can't see anything. I need to get my cursor up. But as you can see, we've got the prices all listed there. So, right, so this is quite problematic. There we go. So it needs to go into that little weird looking darkened part, and then we only need to buy one, so that's fine. We're going to go OK. Oh, because we're on cancel, I think. Oh, what is going on with this? Okay. I think we may have just purchased one. Yes, we have a sword. Well done. Alright. Alright, okay. Let's just go back. Let's go to our equipment. Let's try and equip the sword. And we've got our sword. Finally, after all of that. Going to accept the quest. So again, it's something to do with the UI. It's got some really funky issues with the way it highlights. So we're going to find our gentleman. And we're going to start hacking into him. No, you don't. Not again. Not again, mister. Come back. Of course you can't run when you're locked on. Where has he gone to? He's completely disappeared, I think. Oh dear, that can't be right. Well, you all saw it work beforehand, so we know that it works. Oh, here he is. He's disappeared off to the distance. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to actually get him, and where's his movement? Movement, walking, free speed. Okay, so let's just set that to 1, 2, 3, and leave it as that. Now let me find him. Where has he gone to? I don't know where he's actually disappeared to. Let's go to our scene and see if we can find where he is. Oh, okay, so he's stuck behind the rock now. Well, good, that means that I can go kill him. There we are. And now I've got my 2 bandit ears. So now let's go back to the vendor and see if we can sell those bandit ears this time. Should be able to, should have everything on it that I need to, unless I've magically forgotten again. So the bandit ears aren't actually showing up in this list. Probably because the shopkeeper himself doesn't actually have any of the bandit ears. However, I do, so they are in my inventory, aren't they? Yes, they are. Alright, so I believe that you actually have to set that up on the vendor itself and have it there as an option. You can set it to have 0 value, so he doesn't actually have any bandit ears, but he can sell them. So you need to make sure you assign that. So we will actually try that one. What I'll do, just to make sure that that is the way that it works, I'm going to go to vendor shop front, going to add an item, bandit ears, add amount, we want 0, so he doesn't actually have any. Oh, 0. No, so it's always going to have at least 1. Buy price from vendor, I'm going to say 50. So nobody gets it. Way to drop by. Yep, all that's fine. I'm going to click play and we're going to see whether we can have it pop up. Oops, sorry, what I wanted to do was actually see if I could sell to him, which means I'm going to have to give the player some. So a little bit of testing and evaluation here. Add item, bandit ear, add. Yeah, we only need 1, and we're going to reset it just in case. Yeah, I don't think we have to do it on the player manager, but I'm just going to do it anyway just in case there's any issues, because it didn't have a problem with the other one. But now you can see, now we can sell and buy. Huh, that worked easily enough. Oh, now it's working fine. Oh, I see why. Alright, so it's not a bug. It is a problem of what we're using to highlight versus grey out. So the problem that we've got is that whenever we click on here, if I go on the sword, I'm going to hit A, and you can see the top 2 are grey. So it makes it look like I can't do either of those things. But what's actually happening is sell is greyed out because I don't have any to sell, but buy is also greyed out because that's our highlight colour. So we need to actually fix that up, and in a way to do that, I'm going to show you now. It's actually quite simple. It's just to do with the buttons. We're going to come down here to our UI quest HUD, because the quest status display is the same thing with the vendor. How do I get that to pop up? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to find out how it does it. It's a subset of the quest hub, so HUD, sorry. So it should pop up, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up. I'm going to hit escape. I'm actually going to minimize that. I'm going to open it up, and now we should have it appearing somewhere. So if I go to the scene menu, I find our UI and I hit F, and now you can see we've got it opened up. Now I can just click on one of these items as soon as I can. So here we go, the vendor window. So we need to find where that is. That's in the inventory window, vendor window, header, item window, mask view, description, options, amount panel buy, and amount panel sell, or option panel, layout, button 1, 2, 3. So they're the buttons that we're looking at. So if I click on here and bring that up, now when I go to the scene menu, it's there, and I can show you that each one of these is the button. And here we go, highlighted and pressed color is obviously different, but it's also the same as when it's grayed out. So disabled color, set that to red. And then the same as this one, if I set the disabled color to red, you can see now it is now red. So this is what's going on. So the color for highlighting is coming up as the same for disabled color. Now, as you can see, it was actually, if I click on that, it's the same color as this pressed color, so it's pressed in, but it's different to the highlighted color, but it's also got a different alpha value. So if I was actually to bring that back up, you could see it would be a different color, but it's all set because of that alpha value. Now, I'm not going to edit it here while the game's running, because you can see it's obviously something that spawns in with the Quest inventory shooter prefab. So I'm just going to take that, I'm going to Control C that. Now we're going to go back out and we're going to go into, so out of the play mode, going to find where it is. We're going to click on it here. This is where it is. Excellent. So now we've got it. And I'm just going to bring this down so I can drag it in. Alright, cool. So that's where it is. So we want to inventory, main menu, vendor window. Going to click on that so we can see what it looks like when it's up. I'm going to click on 2D for this one here so I can see it straight against the screen. We're going to go to item window. Where was it? Was it in description? No, it was options, option panel. Here's my buttons. Bubs. Okay, alright, so what we need to do, we can still reach the buttons here, we just can't see what it's going to look like. So the disabled one, so highlighted, we want to actually have that, say, in a green colour. So we'll just go with that for now. What value was that actually? What can we do? X colour, let's copy that. Oops, sorry, so in my colour menu here, sorry, I had this on the other screen, my apologies. So I've just changed it to whatever colour I want. I want this green colour so we can show that it's highlighted. And I'm going to select Control C on that one. We're going to go to button 2, come in here, and we're going to Control V and paste it there so that we've got the same colours for each of them. And this one here, we want that. So this is the highlighted colour, so we know which one we've actually got selected and which one's disabled, because that will be fully greyed out. So now that we've done that, we can actually, we need to go back and hide the option panel again and the vendor window, and that's already unticked. So I think that's what it is. We're going to apply that, and then we're going to delete that from our scene. Let's test that, make sure that that is functioning as the way we want it to. And success. So you can see now we're not highlighting the cell function because it's disabled. So, but buy and cancel are highlighting in green when we have them selected. We can click buy, and we want to do the same for these buttons, which were on the same thing. Same as the grey, we want the highlighted to actually not look the same as the negative value, so we go OK. Success. Alright, we are making good progress. So again, I'm going to find that, I'm going to drag that back into the scene. Going to go through, I don't actually need to select these anymore, I can actually just open them up. Mount panel by single amount panel. Okay, so we just basically need to find these buttons, and then we need to post the hex value for the green. Yep, so that's fine. And then the cancel, need to do that as well. Mount panel cell, bringing that up, single amount. Oops, need to find the OK and cancel. Yep, and then cancel. Good, and then the amount panel, amount control. So the plus and the minus will need to be changed as well. Now, of course, you'll actually probably use different images for yours. This is just using the base thing, so I'm just going to show you just so that I've got it set up for when we do go to use it. but you might have a different image when you highlight over it. Maybe it's like you've actually got a set of buttons that have a highlighted image, so they're using a different image for each one, which is, so yeah, instead of using a highlighted color, you would pretty much just fill out a different image for each time when you hover over it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, again, there's all sorts of other stuff there. Now I'm just going to make sure I did actually do for the buy multi-amount. I think I might have left that out. Might have missed this one. Yep, looks like I did. So now we're going to accept that. Going to go through and click this one and click this one, and lastly click that one. And because we haven't changed any of these values or set them to enabled, that should be fine. So I'm just going to click apply. Yeah, one thing, when you drag it into the scene, make sure it's not childed to any other object, because that will screw up the prefab when you try and apply it. Delete that. Session failed on modifications. Yep, cool, don't worry about that. It's just a random Unity error. Okay, here we go. Coming back in. Okay, Mr. Helpy. Now we can go buy. Obviously we've only got 1, 2. Oh, now we can buy 2. Apparently he's got 2 swords on him. I must have set that to a strange looking value. That's fine. Minus, plus, minus. Okay, cancel. Whoops. And we want to hear. Whoops. I ended up buying way too many. Now this is actually a little bug in itself. I've noticed that after you buy something, you don't get the cursor back anymore. So you have to actually back out to go and buy a second thing. I will figure out what is going on there, because it actually looks like it's something to do with the Invector process, but I'll raise that with the developer, see if there's anything we can do about that. So sell. Okay, so I can sell the ears that I had, which is great. And we are done. And now if we have a look, I've got $20 left. Ooh, I can buy a sword with that. Aha. And I'm going to talk to Mr. Helpy. You need help, do you? No worries, Mr. Helpy. I'll get that bandit for you, bro. And here he is over here. And I've made his runaway value a lot smaller. Or at least I thought I did, but it looks like his sprint value is still pretty high. So I'm going to chase after him. Why can he run away quite so damn fast? I thought I'd set his values down. I hadn't saved it or something, maybe. You know what, this bandit is just way too speedy for me. But at least he's going over this way now, so I can get him. Alright, there we go. And finally, loot. Acquired 2 bandit ears, and I'll go sell them so I can buy some more potions. Oh, I've got 2 bandit ears, so let's sell those. There you go, now he's got 4. And I should be able to buy another potion. Yep. Excellent. So now he's run out of potions, but I've got plenty. And I'm not sure what the button was to use. I thought it was up, maybe up arrow. Oh, I'll figure that one out later. Anyway, everything is working for now. Thanks for watching that episode. Sorry it took so long, but at least you can see that we did find a problem, we troubleshooted it, and we managed to solve it. So hopefully that helps you guys come through. And if you think that it's not working, sometimes it might be a trick of the UI that it is actually working. But yeah, it's just something that needs to be adjusted. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.